The text for this sermon come from 1 Samuel, the story of David and Goliath, and the gospel reading Mark 4, verses 35 through 41. Last fall, living in a different university town far away in the upper Midwest, I heard the news from State College, Pennsylvania. Scandal had broken out. A former coach had been arrested. And as happens in large and beloved organizations, others were caught up in the circle of blame and if only. From far away in Ann Arbor, I offered prayers in the midst of the sanctuary for this community, for the accusers and for the accused. I had no idea that I would be here in this sanctuary, praying again and some more. There are many who have been ready to move on and put the past behind us. The next school year and the next sports seasons will soon be here. We have a new coach and new players to cheer on. There are those who cannot believe the victims because not only did they honor and trust Jerry Sandusky, but they also know him personally. They have been friends. He did good in this community. Those accusers, some have said, are just out for the money. But others know one of the victims, or one of those families. There is grief for the man, for the young men who testified, for the university, for other staff past and present, and for this entire valley. I imagine some harbor anger and hurt, rubbed raw by a sense of betrayal. How could this happen? Like the artist responsible for the community mural just around the corner, some have already painted over the memory, images, and power of Jerry Sandusky. For still others, old wounds are reopened. Whether we know it or not, some of the people we know, probably some people here today, are the victims of childhood sexual assault by someone they knew, cared for, and trusted. Even when folk have well integrated that part of their lives into their own stories, living in the midst of a current and similar scandal can bring back the terror and the pain. Those of you who were part of this congregation 12 years ago or so when your pastor was arrested may find yourselves struggling anew with a heightened sense of betrayal, wondering about trust and forgiveness. And some, perhaps many of you, really want to simply get on with life. After all, isn't life about the present and the future and not the past? Well, yes, and still, the past has a way of haunting us. There are times when we must face our history square on, sifting and integrating so that our present and our future are built on lessons learned, values affirmed and reclaimed, and the story of how we have thrived. Our text today offers us some familiar stories. We hear about giants and a brave young man, a mere boy. We hear about storms in the night and the power of Jesus to control them. We hear about obstacles and overcoming obstacles. We hear about fear and fearlessness. Goliath was huge, somewhere between 7 and 11 feet tall, a large man with a booming voice and a whole lot of confidence. He had spent his life fighting. He was accustomed to striking terror in the hearts of his opponents. He was used to winning. David, on the other hand, was just there to bring food and provisions to his brothers. He was a beautiful boy, and secretly had been anointed king of Israel. He wasn't king yet, though. He was confident in the way that teenagers and young men are confident, ready to take risks without weighing the consequences. As far as David was concerned, he'd spent his life fighting off lions and bears as he tended the sheep. Surely this Goliath was no worse than a lion or a bear. David was also confident that God was standing with him. He was not alone. We have a love-hate relationship with giants. We really like the giants we help build, whether they are academic institutions, religious organizations, or financial institutions. We like to have our kings or queens, our presidents and stars that appear extraordinary, beyond the reach of the ordinary. We want leaders who will live our ideals and values flawlessly. It can take the pressure off us. We want our giants and our exemplary leaders so much that we are willing to turn a blind eye in order to preserve our perceptions of perfection. And then the giants we have grown in our midst go too far. Betrayal reaches out its ugly tendrils when we discover our giants are not living the values we thought we all shared. They call out a challenge, and we, like David, must step up. The work of justice, the work of transforming society, the work of acting for Christ's sake usually means taking on giants. Whenever we face a giant, we feel small. When our acts are about justice, we are acting for others. David stepped up for the entire Israelite army. We step up for those that have been seen as weaker, smaller, and less valuable. What is the worth of one young lonely boy? The worth of 10? The value is great. We are called to do more and to do better. We are called to create a safe community, one that expresses care for even the least among us. We, church, are called to be a safe space where the hurting can come for solace and healing. We, church, are called to be a safe space in which to tell stories, even the horrible parts, in order to open doors for a better future. We are called to live with integrity and attention to our deepest values, which means that we will be facing giants, armed only with bravado, a stone in a slingshot, and a vision. We are called to live in hope. We are called to live the faith-filled knowledge that we are not alone. The disciples weren't facing a giant. The disciples faced a great storm, a giant storm. They were terrified. Many of the disciples were fishermen who knew boats and the sea and how to face the storms. None of their hard-won experience was helping. The waters were pouring in and the boats were being swamped. The chaos around them threatened life itself. And Jesus was sleeping in the back of the boat as though nothing was going on. The story of the storm at sea echoes the story of creation in Genesis 1. It is a story about creation, about recreation and new life, about resurrection. Watery chaos stands as a metaphor for hopelessness. The disciples are terrified because they are sure they will not survive. They are not able to envision anything different, anything new. And yet Jesus is in the boat. God brings order out of chaos with a breath, with a word. The disciples shake Jesus awake and accuse him of not caring about them. I always imagine Jesus calling out over the roar of the wild wind, "Peace, be still, be calm." But what if, instead, he whispered into the ear of the storm, "Peace, be still"? Those words reached into the hearts and minds of the disciples just as they reached the wind and waves. Like a parent pulling a sobbing child out of a nightmare with murmured words of assurance, Jesus wraps the disciples with a calming breath. Shh, shh, peace, peace. Jesus questions the disciples' fear. He never hints that there was nothing to be afraid of. The storm was a fearful thing. Many things in life are fearful. Why were they afraid? They were not alone. He was with them the whole time. Shh, shh, peace, peace, calm, calm. Don't be afraid. You are not alone. I'm here. Isn't that the message we want to live in this community as we offer a message of healing, wholeness, and hope? peace, calm. We are not alone. The gospel tells us that nature responded to Jesus' command instantly. The giant storm turns into a giant calm. The disciples' relief is tangible. The storm of chaotic hopelessness is replaced with the calm of hope. Things do change. We can expect something new. Here is my wonderment, though. The text tells us that the storm was replaced by a dead calm, a life-threatening calm. There is a difference between being calm and being becalmed. I'm not sure which is more frightening, riding the raging storm or being becalmed on a windless sea. It seems to me that the terror of the storm is that we will not survive the changes that swirl around us. The terror of being becalmed is that nothing will ever change. Becalmed. Relieved of the wild ride of the storm, we are open to different questions. Is there another shoe that will drop? Will the storm pick up again? Now what? Anxiety rises. Shh, shh. Peace. Be calm. The voice of Jesus whispers, I am with you. Assurance washes over us and wells up from within. In turn, disciples all, we become the arms and voice of our Christ, assuring others, you are not alone. Fearlessness, chaos, terror do not have the last word. Courage, calm, and peace come. We are not alone. We, church, live in hope. Henry Nouwen wrote that hope expects the coming of something new. We hope, we expect. There is a gentle breeze rising. It's time to hoist a new sail and catch the Spirit's breath as we move into new times and new ways of facing down giants and overcoming obstacles with healing, wholeness, and hope. Let us practice hope. Let us live hope. Amen.